What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and today we're going to be talking about earning some currency. Today we are going to be talking about Haewark Hamlet. Um, as far as zones, this is probably one of the ones that you have the most choices because I would say this is probably one of the most diverse zones. I do have a favorite pick, or actually two favorite picks. That's kind of how diverse this zone is. So I'll talk about profitability, what's going to be the most consistently profitable, what the different setups are, and what the rotation is and why I would rotate it. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to start off with showing you guys how I like to run it. This is my favorite setup. This is, however, going to be your most expensive setup, but I still give this a really good rating because it's honestly not that expensive. We're talking about under 10 EX as far as watch stones to set it up and get yourself some. If you have 10 exalts, you'll be able to get scarabs to start running it, and you'll start earning back your profits, your investment very, very quickly. Could be really, really quick if you get all the watch stones. So, what makes this setup the most expensive is because we have this area with ritual altars, have 4 ritual altars. This is really a optional thing. You could farm this in a completely different way, and I'll talk about that. But the nice thing about this is it gives us the chance for really big payoffs. And what this does is it makes it so that we have at least 5 altars in this zone every single map, which is awesome because it's going to give us a bunch of coins, which is important because we're going to be doing the paid in blood, which makes it so that we get to re-roll 2 additional times. So we get 3 re-rolls. So that's 6,000 coin worth of re-rolls, which makes it so that we have to actually have coin, or we're not going to be able to capitalize on this, and we're not going to be able to buy stuff once we do capitalize on it. So that's going to be really important. This is going to basically be like a 1 out of 5, close to a 1 out of 5, because we'll have an 18%, or wait, no, they lowered the number. Okay, a little bit less than that, like 1 out of 6, because no, yeah, it's 18%. 18%, I'm right. Close to 1 out of 5 chance that you're going to have this in there, and it's kind of like a big payoff. And the way that we're going to run this zone, it's also going to give us extra chances to get another big payoff that we're going to be doing in this zone. So right now, this sextant is just for the 4 ritual altars. I got it with rarity on there, but you don't need that. Um, I mean, obviously it's going to help, but like 7 exalts for this. The other watch stones that are going to be the most helpful for you are going to be imprisoned monsters have a 15% chance to have an additional essence. You're going to want the tier 1 on this, and that's going to be what you're going to want to fill up the rest of this with. So they do stack. We do wind up getting additional numbers for each one that we have. So you are definitely going to want to have 3 of those. One variation that you could do of this, we'll go ahead and talk in on that right now, is you could drop the altars. You could be like, I don't really want to start off spending 7 EX on the zone. You could completely drop this, and there's 2 different ways that you could go with this that would work also. You could do your syndicate farming in here. You could do a combination of giving yourself a 10% chance to stock up your Jun missions, and you could use the extra points here. Another way that you could run this if you're doing the essences and rituals is you could swap this to here and you could stock up your Jun missions. This is kind of going to be a preference as to whether you want the Grove in there about 1 out of 5 maps, or if you want 1 out of every 10 maps, additional missions from Jun. That's going to be a decision as far as running this. This is where we're making the currency right here. And then having the additional Grove in here is going to also give us more currency generation that's going to synergize with this farming method. That's the reason why this is my top pick for playing this zone. So the main thing that we're going to be gaining consistent currency like every map from is going to be the essences, because we're only going to be seeing this about 1 out of 5. We're only going to be seeing this 1 out of 5. The essences, you are going to absolutely want to make sure that you have some remnants of the corrupted. And the biggest payday is going to be when you see an essence shrine that has one of these purple essences in it. When that happens, you're going to want to use a remnant of the corrupted on it. And there's about a 1 out of 3 chance that it's going to turn into one of these essences, which are about like 40 to 50 C a piece. So like a third of an exalt. Since it only costs us 2 chaos to put 2 essences in here, and we already are going to be guaranteed 1 essence. We get 3 sets of essences in here, plus we have these. We're going to have 3 sets of additional chances for more essences to be in there. This makes it so that every map we're going to be making some currency. Normally, you're going to get a bunch of, because the upgraded tier of the essences, you're going to wind up getting a bunch of these second level ones, which are going to average out to be like 1C a piece. Then you're going to upgrade them to the deafenings, and then to make more currency off of them, the really cheap ones, the ones that are like 2C a piece, you're going to take and use the essence rerolls that you get from harvest to roll them into more valuable ones, so you can sell them in bulk and they're going to actually be more valuable to you. So that's the reason why I really like this combination. This also gives us, like, because we're not really investing into the harvest, it's not going to give us as many of the better crafts, but it is going to give us a bunch of extra crafts. If we're speed running in the zone, we're going to see the harvest quite a bit. It's going to give us the opportunity to reroll our essences. It's going to give us some other crafts that we're going to get to use. Maybe you want to craft like some jewels or something like that. So it is going to provide you some extra value. But the other thing is, it's going to provide more quantity to the area every time that you get it. And that's going to lead us into the map that we're going to be using. The only map that I'm running in this zone now is Cemetery. The reason why I'm running Cemetery is because it's a tier 14 map, and I like to pick zones where I'm farming a specific map in several zones. So I have a 14 map, a 15 map, a 16 map. This zone is by far the best zone to run a 14 map. The reason why is because we can get Brother's Stash from Cemetery. It's the only map in the game that can drop the Brother's Stash, which, if you don't know, the Brothers Stash is a single card that you trade in for 5 Exalts. So its value right now at 150C is 750C for the card, which is really high. That means, like, if out of 75 maps it drops 1 time, and we buy like polished divination scarabs right now are 4C a piece if you buy them in bulk. Sometimes you can get them for like 2C, but let's say 4C. That means you if 75 maps get 1 drop, that means you get a 250% return on your investment over those 75 maps from getting it to drop 1 time, which is a payout of almost 3x. Like, so that's a really good deal as just something extra to do in that zone. Also, these stock up pretty good. If it's your only 14 zone, they seem to drop pretty consistently. So it's going to be something you're going to be able to run a lot. You're not going to see the Brother Stash card a ton. I think I've gotten 3 or 4 of them, but like I said, I only need 1 out of 75 maps, and I'm getting a 250% return, and that's an addition of like if it was a 1 out of 75, then that would mean that I'm getting 6 additional profit from every single map just for having that on there, which works out really good in this zone. And the reason why is because we don't need scarabs to farm the essences. We're basically just speed running to hit these essences, get them. Normally you're gonna make at least like a few C or something. Your average is probably like 10 to 20 C per map, which is really nice. So that's gonna add up really quickly. Then with the ritual altars being in there 1 out of every 5, you're going to have more chances for really big payouts. And you're not really investing anything besides like running the 4C divination scarabs or 2C divination scarabs. I wouldn't bump up to gilded because it just doesn't really seem to pay off for me. There's just too big of an increase in the cost of the divination scarab. It winds up getting into one of those situations where, like, if you don't get the drop, then you could wind up having just lost a bunch of currency. So I wouldn't do that, but I feel like the polished scarab is like the perfect spot where it's like the investment's not that much, and that big payday it is just really nice. I mean, you could run what, 100 and 185 maps with one drop, and that would be your break-even point. So I don't think you're going to lose out there. So I would definitely recommend that. Um, that's my recommendation. So the alternate that I would say in this zone that's probably like the most predominant is to be running the Jun. Getting the additional intelligence and bargaining for items that basically, and the 200% more items, it does make it so that we get some consistent currency from the syndicate. And you might want to switch over to this when you're actually farming your syndicate. And like I said, we can take and swap this. So like if I used up all my Jun missions and I'm like, I want to restock Jun, but I want to be making that good currency, I would put these 2 points in here, run that. If I wasn't going to be if I was going to be farming Jun, what I would do is I would probably drop the rituals and go for the Jun, and then just take the consistent currency of essences. But you could honestly do it either way. You could put the 4 points here into Jun, keep the ritual altars, and cash it on the 1 out of 5 for that. The ritual altars do normally pay off really well because we get 3 times to reroll. So that's another one of those like kind of big payoffs. I would say that it's probably an average of like at least like 10C a map. I haven't had like anything like super crazy, but when I do get them, I can say I'm probably getting at least like 50C. So I'd say like 10C average over like a long run is probably a low estimate of how much you're gonna be making off this. Which, you could wind up just hitting one item that winds up paying for the whole stone and taking you into profit. So with as much chance as there is to make something here, with the setup, I would definitely recommend it. This is my favorite setup with these 4 here, and then rotating the Nature's Grove to the Focused Investigation. Having more harvests in there just really synergizes well because, like I said, it's more quantity, more chances for Brother Stash. It also gives us the ability to turn the essences that we're collecting into a more profitable essence, which can be like taking it from being worth like 2C to being worth like 10 plus. So like, like 5 times profit or something like that. So one thing I want to reiterate is on essences. I 100% would say the only time that you should be using Remnant of Corrupted is if there's a purple essence. The reason why is these are 5C a piece. So if you're just kind of popping them off on everything, you're probably not going to be getting the return. You're probably going to wind up actually over the average like losing currency unless you just happen to be like really, really lucky on like every single essence use. So I would kind of minimize what you're using them on. Always use them on purples, but I probably wouldn't ever use them any other time than that, unless it was like, there's like a bunch of shriekings, like it hits like extra essences and there's like 5 shriekings, and if there's something like that, like or even like 3 or 4 shriekings, I might risk it there, but you have to understand there's only a 1 out of 3 chance that it upgrades, and there's a chance that it re-rolls. So I don't know if I would recommend that every time, but if there is like a really good set of shriekings, then it might be worth it. But that's going to kind of be your judgment call. I would say in general, what's going to pay off the most for you is just hitting the purple ones. I do want to point out ritual altars in cemetery are I've been doing them, and I feel like it's worth it because it gives me more chances for the brother's stash. In fact, I think I've got one of my brother's stashes from a ritual altar. Um, so I would say that I do it. It's kind of going to be on you because you could just really, really fastly run the maps. Basically, just collect your 3 essences, quickly wipe everything on the map, and then pop into another one because the realistically, the ritual altar is probably going to take almost as much time as clearing the whole map. Sometimes more if it's like survival or the circles, but it's going to give you a bunch of chances for the drop. Is the reason why I continue to do it, and it does give me currency. So that's what I've been doing. Um, but that's kind of gonna be up to you. What I would say is if you're kind of like in the middle where you're like, I don't know if it's worth it or is it. What I would say is you should do all of the kill based ones like defeat the waves, kill the enemies, protect the altar, like those ones because they just go by so quick. I would say that doing those is always worth it. You might want to skip survivals or the stone tablets just to stay most time efficient, to guarantee the most the most currency rewards, but you could really go anyway on it. I could understand not doing it at all. I could also understand always doing it. And I could also understand that middle zone, which is probably the best profit way to do it, is to go for the quick altars, so you can collect your currency quickly or whatever is going to be in that altar. You're going to get the quantity, but you're not going to wind up spending 2 maps time zone on the same altar. So that is something that I would say you should kind of think about. I mean, if you want to do some testing and see what works out best for you, um, that's kind of on you. But some people really like it, some people don't. That's kind of my 2 cents on it. Um, the one other thing that I do in the zone just to add more quantity, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm going to say that I do it just because I do it. But I would say that it's probably not the best thing. I'm kind of just doing it because I kind of feel like it's breaking even. I've been using gilded metamorph scarabs just because I was able to pick them up for a pretty good price. And it seems like I'm about averaging like breaking even. Like sometimes I'm not breaking even. Sometimes I'm making currency. The thing is it's just another chance to get a brother's stash card. And if I'm breaking even, I kind of feel like it only takes me a couple more seconds to finish off the metamorph. So as long as I'm at least breaking even over, like a spread, then it's giving me extra chances for that big drop because it does show up divination cards, so it could wind up producing that. So that's kind of my take on that, and it just gives me something else to kill in the map. Um, I obviously go like full buffs on it if I get something really good, like if there's like delirium mirrors, or if there's nem monsters drop additional currency, or if any of the big sextant modifiers come up, then I definitely do that. I am running sextant modifiers on here. This is another choice that you don't have to do, but once again, it's something that's going to add quantity to the zone, so it is going to increase your chance for those brothers stash cards. And in general, running sextants, unless you're just trying to like get in and get out, like if you're just focused on hitting the essences, you're probably not going to want to be stopping every 4 maps to apply sextants, because you could just load up 20 maps in your inventory and just shoot them out. But I would say that it is going to pay off extra currency for you if you are using them. Um, I just basically run whatever comes up, unless something comes up like it's something that adds no value to the map. Then I'll re-roll over those. Anyways, I hope that this video is helpful. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy this content and find it useful, please do like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching. Peace.